We have that.
just so you know. Makes me think you're worried about. I'm worried about a bunch of them.
Do you want to arrange those differently or are they okay? Well, how do you want it?
Keep a small one.
No, he's in Murfreesboro. He's puny.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I don't even know my phone, whatever.
You never have that one. No, you keep shoving mine away.
Yeah. Come down here just like me and Kevin, we put both of them for you.
There's a lot of people there.
I think you should just take. I don't know why it's cheap.
See, what's your next one? Yeah, wait.
Discretion or wisdom?
Oh, that'll be right again. Shoot, it'll be immersive a few years, some more. Immerse yourself. Hello, Elena.
That's all.
Off clubs. Off clubs
So.
from Holly Roberts. And for me.
We may have speakers though. Does that work? All right. You sit it back. I like it. So that's what they say.
I always look at it and say, does my hair really look like, oh, that's terrible.
I don't say that.
You know,
I guess we're not waiting.
Ralph says he doesn't ever say that.
Okay. We'll call this session to order with a pledge of allegiance. So, Glenn, please.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For those of you who are not aware, we've got a mascot up front. When I turn around and say the pledge, I noticed the dog. And I just wonder what he's thinking we're doing. It's like, what is going on now? All right. Well, welcome to June's meeting of the Calvert City Council. We got some business to take care of and look forward to doing so. And with that, the first order of business is always approval of meeting minutes, and they've been circulated to the council beforehand. So I would take some motions on the 16th special call meeting, May 16th, which was a budget workshop, correct? Everybody had a chance to look at those?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from May 16th meeting.
All right, second?
Second.
Got a second? All in favor? Aye. Nobody opposed. Those pass. Okay, for a special call meeting on May 29th, where we took care of some paperwork business for a grant. I would take a motion for those minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you. Got a second? All in favor? Aye. Nobody's opposed. All right. Thank you so much. In order of agenda, is there a reason to do the that first? Or do you want to wait till your this would be the yard of the season? We're going to wait till Blair gives it to the end.
The Rushing family look like, so if they're.
All right. Well, listen. All right.
Let's go first.
Well, the Rushings are here and we'll go first, and then you can hang around however long you can tolerate with the rest of the business of the council. But we'll get to that first. That's why it's there on the agenda.
So we had 4 yards submitted for the spring yard of the season, and the Rushing family was chosen, as the winner. It is, on Cherry Street, is that right? It's a beautiful green home that, I have to drive by and see it. Is it okay to get a picture? Should I get your picture, Mayor? You gonna get a picture?
Mayor, I thought that was your job.
I will take the picture. You're gonna be
Ah.
taking the picture.
Okay. Where we going?
Oh, I don't know, right here on this blank wall.
That's the photo screen wall.
This is it?
Yeah. Now we need to get some spray back there. I come off it all.
I'm off the wall. Okay. I'm Gene. Richard, all right, well, congratulations. I don't swing by and take a
I
look.
heard the first name, but I didn't hear the last one. Okay, ready? On a count of three. 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Amazing. Yeah. Finger grabbing, Mom. All right, ready? Count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. All right. Anyway.
We'll go swing by and buy it.
Thank you all. They live closer on the renters.
This is fine.
I'm
What's
on
his name?
coffee. They're
Rick.
sharing.
Oh, they rushed off. Well, you know,
You told me.
I said they could.
Want to buy my empty lot.
Captain Babcock didn't do anything to them when they left or anything, so they're good to go. All righty, visitors and petitioners. I see two groups out here. Country Club? Country Club, okay. And we've got a presentation from Elena with the Kentucky Lake CVB. So we'll go with the Country Club first. And we had a presentation from some concerned citizens wanting to encourage the Country Club to go ahead with retaining a pool of some sort. So Tammy, are you ready to give us, as president, give us an update?
After it was brought to our attention how important the pool is for the country club and the community, we have proceeded to get bids. And not to say we're running in circles, but we kind of are at this point. The state's been in and verbally told us what they wanted. The contractor has made a proposal based on that verbal conversation. Now, it's to the point where an architect is working on the drawings. Once the drawings are made, then it goes back to the state for actual approval. Then the contractor will come back with an exact bid based on those plans. I sent Gene a copy of this, but this is the only copy I've got. Do you have the bid?
I don't. Do you want me to make a copy of that?
Yeah, if you would.
Well, I mean, we just tell us the bottom line amount as you stand now,
$300,000.
300,000, and we'll circulate them around to,
And that being said, it is a lot of what ifs. but
Right.
That's based on the verbal conversation when the lady was here with the contractor. He met with us a few weeks ago and the board verbally said, we are willing to proceed at this point with the $300,000. We've got a few issues that we've got to go back to the membership with. Looking at the probability of the plans within the next month and approval from the state. Then, once the contractor gets all the equipment that he needs, it's 6 months. So he thinks that we can actually have this by end of the year and be full blown open next year without any doubt.
Wonderful.
that's not like good news.
Assuming that the state approves the plans that they've discussed.
Right. So you got a budgetary amount of 300,000 and it's got to go through review to make sure it's a good budgetary amount.
But like I said, there's a tentatives, this is what the plan's gotta be. That being said, that's really going to tax our budget.
Right, right.
The swim team has used the pool for the last several years. It's a feeder program for the Marshall County High School swim team.
Mhm.
Blair's used it for a few projects, and Maddie Trailer that was here a couple months ago done an outstanding presentation.
They did that.
And she's not able to be here tonight, but she has worked on that grant. She found some great information that can help with swim lessons and things. for the city. So if the city can partner with the country club to offer some of these programs, maybe y'all can help us with our initial investment on what the repairs are gonna cost.
Have you got a committee from the country club that's reviewing this thing and working toward?
It's the board right now.
Okay.
All 12 of us. Everybody's pretty much hands-on with it because they realize the necessity of the pool.
Right.
And as far as from the golf shop standpoint, it's a whole lot easier to sell a membership to a family when you're offered a pool other than just golf.
Right. Okay. Well, as we talked when Maddie was here, I mean, there's an identified public purpose of what the city might get in services or whatever, then we could consider a proposal that may be.
The past couple of years, there's been kayak lessons at the pool with is it Kentucky Waterway. Okay, so that's one of the programs. One of the things Maddie spoke about was lifeguard training, adult swim lessons, possible water aerobics. A lot of things that could benefit the community outside our regular business hours.
Okay. Well, I mean, if we were going to consider something like that, it would, tax money, we'd have to make sure it's public purpose, and we'd have to develop some kind of idea of what would be the agreement as far as trade you this for that. So, I kind of think of it like swapping operational expenses, annual monies that could be spent there, and kind of flipping those over to the front end in cash flow.
Just kind of roughly,
Mhm.
and she said that was $600 a year that she's used that. So if we could come up with in your agreement on that, the possibility of these other programs.
Yeah. Well, I think trying to work through something like that at a council meeting is probably not going to be very good use of everyone's time. But I think that, it's a worthwhile dialogue to have to see what there is, because, Maddie made a strong case about, and I'm going to steal Mayor Jones's words about amenities. I mean, a small community this size, having a country club with a pool that you can join up is something that is worth something to the community and to things that we have. But we got to be careful that if we support it, that it's got to be a public purpose. And so it'd be swapping out from time to time, people have approached us about trying to make it a public pool, which I don't think your members are going to be very much in support of at all. But trying to, and I get it. I mean, when you're a membership only pool, you've got some control, you can follow the rules. And when it's a public pool, it's a whole different proposition entirely. And it's a whole different move. But if we could come up with something that was, services that we would, so much time, water aerobics and some of the things you mentioned, Tammy, but it had to be kind of a group to work on that. I don't even want to say the word committee, but try to come up with a proposal that would be presented to the council and see if there's any meat on the bones, if we would go for that or not.
Well, at the last meeting, Greg wasn't here, so we really didn't give his feedback with no's across the board. So I didn't know really what,
He's trained to say no to everything.
why not? So I thought, well, if-
I'm just being mean, but that's,
But realistically, we're looking at a 6 months construction loan and knowing y'all's budget timelines and so forth, not having firm numbers to give you. These proposals are supposed to help us with save water, help us save chemicals,
so hopefully your operational expenses will go down, be reduced too. That's good news.
but there's really no way at this point. We're not doing this for cost cutting. We're doing this because it's mandatory.
Right.
Keep the pool open.
Have y'all thought about fundraisers? We brought that up.
We
last
did,
time.
and Lloyd said that he could help us with the possibility of that, and swim team is really they're direct for the swim, they can raise funds easier than we can as a country club.
Well, we were thinking if like country club, if you all went back to people who've been on the service.
Well, that,
Years, you might have some big donors that way.
that's still gonna go back to swim team, but they're to the point where they don't even have a swim team this year because they have no place to
I
practice.
understand that.
So we're just looking to be able to help them, help the community, and obviously help ourselves.
I'll just say this, I'll do whatever I can to help with this.
Cause I don't want to ever again have to go to something further dragging somebody to drag. I want swim lessons if we get to it.
Would this be a replacement or renovation?
Renovation,
Renovation. And the $300,000 would renovate the pool.
yes,
Please, the health department.
yes. To let us open back up. Currently, we're closed for the health department regulations.
And did you all discuss how much you had to budget towards this renovation?
Well, right now, we had already budgeted $50,000 for this year.
Uh-huh.
So our plan is to go to the bank to obtain the rest of the funds, and then we'll have to go up on dues to make payments. But that's gonna be a process. But if we can put the loan 6 months down the road, then our budget for January, we'll have funds for that.
Thank you.
You said that, if I understood what you said Maddie was looking at some grants
Yes,
that might involve, public funds, state funds, federal funds.
not for repair,
Right,
but for, did she send you that information?
programs.
She texted me and said that she found a grant that would help, with swim lessons. So it's fun, but it has to be, I think it has to be a city, or a nonprofit in order to receive the funds.
Yeah, the city would receive the funds, but they could use the country club to actually have the swim lessons. And I believe the lifeguards that she would train would be the ones doing the swim lessons.
Yeah, and if it, if, we'll have to look and see what those proposals are, but if there are possibilities that the city could. I mean, that sounds like a potentially win-win in that it wouldn't actually cost the city any out-of-pocket funds. But the city could simply sponsor the swimming lessons or life-saving lessons or something, and in so doing, receive some grant funds that might, through the cash flow, have some benefit to paying for pool repairs. Sure. That's certainly doable. It's when you get into direct expenditures from city funds that it gets much more difficult to manage. Much more difficult to justify.
Say like the proposal last time when you weren't here. And I think we all went to see the full stuff. But say if we were asked to give $100,000 donation, what would be your ramifications?
Yeah.
You kept, I mean, that.
Yeah, if it was an outright $100,000 donation, if there would have to be $100,000 benefit to public purpose in order for that to be justifiable. And public purpose means,
Lots of swim lessons.
well, it means a benefit to public of Calvert City, to the citizens and constituents of Calvert City. That's worth $100,000 expenditure. And so.
So does anybody in the gallery have anything to add to the conversation here? What you got, Austin? Come on up to the mic so the people yeah, you're gonna be on video now.
Brown, I'm
But-
on the board up at the golf course and lived here my whole life, but the pool, you don't have to be a member of the country club itself to swim at the pool. We have pool memberships just for residents of Calvert or anywhere that doesn't play golf, or, a lot of golf courses, you have to be a member of the whole thing. So Calvert
Right.
does offer just pool memberships.
What was the most recent pool membership fee? $400 for
200
the,
single, 400 family benefit.
okay.
For kids, and
People still bring a guest.
you can bring
You
guests.
can bring the
Yeah,
guests
you
as
can
well.
bring guests. So it, in a way, I mean, I
Right.
don't say it's public, but it's not completely private as far as the pool memberships are separate. And I think you could ask anybody on the board at the golf course in the last 50 years that the pool itself has never made money for that golf course. I mean, our membership dues are cheap compared to most golf courses, but we have a really nice golf course that most of that money is used for the golf course itself. So we're going into this 300,000 into this pool knowing
Right.
that it, it's not a bit, the golf course is a business, the country club, but the pool is, we're not doing this to make money on the pool. We
Right.
never one single year at the end of the year said, well, our expenses on the pool, they always outweigh, the money we get for the pool. So that, that's another reason, we're doing it for the community. The community doesn't have a pool. There's a lot of people, I get asked, especially, when all this first started, I got asked daily, like, what's gonna happen? with
Oh,
the
yeah,
pool?
yeah.
A lot of people.
It's a big
people that
deal.
weren't a member here that just couldn't imagine going somewhere else to
Mhm.
swim. So.
Do you have a number that maxes out for the pool memberships? Like you can only have 100
We had
memberships?
before, yeah, just full specifically memberships was at 50 at one time,
In the past years, we haven't limited it, but at one time we did.
Okay,
but we've got away.
but you
we got
can get away
from
with
that.
not limiting it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I think also, I think we all appreciate that. It comes down to the ownership of the people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who the city's tied up, am I correct?
It is, it is. I mean, it's the,
Contractually, if there was a contract between the city and the country club, you could mitigate that to some extent, but yes, the bottom line is, in order for the city to expend the fund, the city has to be able to assure that they're gonna be able to be used for.
Yeah.
For the purposes of the people who pay taxes,
Mhm.
but that's whose money you're using to.
and,
That's what we're trying to.
Yeah.
Figure out a way where
Yeah.
I can, show to the public that they're getting extra access to it.
Right.
Whatever that number and time needs to be, so.
well, and again, I mean, the fact that the pool membership is available in the community, that's great. And I think it adds a lot to our community, but it's still, a private entity. You guys set the rules. And I think, the city, we elected to have a splash park, for the city to undergo building a 25-yard pool minimum and the guards and all the operational expenses, including payroll, is something that's probably just not available to a community this size. And I'm really glad it's here. And I really think if you look at a membership pool versus a public pool, okay, where somebody comes in and pays a daily admission, it's a lot more difficult to keep track. Sydney lifeguard at Paducah pools for just a little bit, and it was a lot of chaos up there. It's a whole different environment. And the board, I'm sure your members may have some resistance to making it a purely public pool.
Yeah.
And people have come to the council in my years on council. I'm sure Kevin can attest. There's been people approach us, say, hey, why don't you guys take over the pool?
Mhm.
And it's like, because the country club doesn't want us to take over the pool.
Yeah.
And then that's for good reason. But we need to get together, do some brainstorming, see what the public purpose parts are, try to see if there's some sort of an agreement. It'd be a contract that you would enter into that would enable us to say, hey, this contract for 7 years with these provisions would be something we could possibly apply money to. And it would be things to do, stuff like, maybe some yoga and, interested in our community, people getting swim lessons, interested in lifeguard lessons, but had to try to draw something around that to say, this is what that looks like. This is this many days per year, and the Orange Wave Swim Club. I mean, we had Orange Wave Swim Club long before there was March County Swim Team. And so you've got other stakeholders. You got the alumni of that club, as Nita pointed out. We've got the school board. I'm not so sure what the county would be willing to do. They've got the county's got a splash pad too. Benton has a public pool, which they still operate. And so it's a lot of different things. And I think there's some commonality and some things there, but we have to do what we can. So Austin, I appreciate you coming up and pointing that out. I mean, people can join the pool when it's there and should really, with the renovation in particular, consider it an amenity and really encourage people to go. So,
Appreciate those times.
Thank you.
all right. Any questions for the country club bunch before they go? All right. So Tammy, if you get a committee and solicitation, whatever, and you want to get together, we can get some volunteers from up here and we can try to straw dog out some things that may be a benefit that we could put in the contract. And I've heard, Maddie's probably had the best source of the ideas there, and she made a strong case. She did a great job. And, she'd sent me an email tonight, said she couldn't be here and kind of apologetically. And I think it's more, I appreciate the directors coming. You guys, you got a hard task in front of you, to try to figure out what the best move is. And I think maintaining the pool has a lot of value to your club. And it's an expense, but I think the longevity of the club is part of it. And I wish you luck and want to support you as best we can, but anybody else got a comment?
One thing Kevin brought up when we were sort of discussing it, and I'm not sure if the country club people, if they'd already left or not, and Greg, you weren't either, but the fact that there could possibly, and we may be wrong, a conflict of interest if you have country club members on the council and we're trying to give money, that's a.
Ah.
That is too. And how many
That's a good
members have we
point.
got on the council for clarity? We got, is Jeremy a member?
Or Jeremy, remember?
Oh, wow.
Jeremy
Four.
got his hand up.
Yeah. Okay.
These are all things that we don't like.
Well, that's right. And we're, you know, that's why we're mentioning that clarity. And obviously the city council finds value in it. So. Well, that,
That's not using it. It's the feeder program.
yeah,
For the orange way thing.
yeah. The Orange Waves predate the school swim team by a pretty big lot. So
And I
anyway,
think,
go ahead.
I do think, I know they were at least trying to, that maybe a stopgap measure that Benton was gonna try to give some, swimming lessons, because I know they asked my granddaughter to, she's a lifeguard, but she didn't, but they were working, Rita was working on that to get some lessons, swimming lessons there.
Good deal. All right. I think the country club in town and the pool in particular is worthwhile. And we'll support you, but it's gonna have to be for public purpose, and we need to make sure we keep everybody on the up and up and keep everyone informed, but it's an important amenity. Vision of Lynn Jones every time I use that word. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, Elena, I've got handouts up here and on all the counts. They've been looking through them. They're critiquing you already. So,
Critique myself
Yeah.
because I was going through it.
Yeah.
and There's 2 slides that I'll have to send it.
yes, do that. They were found. They were fine. That's good. But Elena had approached me some number of months ago and I said, we can have you up when we get done, getting through the budget this year. And she wants to keep us informed of the way things are in Kentucky on funding. So with that, I'll be quiet and learn something.
Well, first of all, I appreciate your time. Thank you for letting me be here. My name's Elaine Blevins, the Executive Director of the Kentucky Lake Convention and Visitors Bureau. Been working with the Tourism Office for about 14 years now, so I've been the director since 2020. But last month, in the month of May, Benton City Council actually asked me to come give a presentation on the restaurant tax, since both the city of Benton and the city of Calvert are eligible to enact the restaurant tax if they choose to do so. But because of legislation and sort of the way that it's written, tourism is sort of expected to be involved in that process. So I put together this presentation for them and I offered to do the same thing for Calvert City Council. So here I am. This presentation does not necessarily advocate one way or the other for a restaurant tax for the tourism office. It's just simply sort of, if you choose to do it, here's the type of projects it could potentially fund, provide you guys with some case studies and things like that. So you have the overview there, and then I have it, the next slide is actually how it's written out per the revised state statute. So KRS 91A 400, any city or county throughout the Commonwealth of Kentucky can enact a tourism commission, and they can levy up to 3% transient room tax. But back whenever we had the classifications of 4th and 5th class cities, there were certain cities that were allowed to also levy an additional restaurant tax at a maximum of 3%. So I have it written out there to sort of exactly what the state statute says, that in addition to a 3% transient room tax authorized by the KRS 91A 390, the city legislative body of an authorized city may levy an additional restaurant tax not to exceed 3% the retail sales by all restaurants doing business in the city. The monies collected from the tax shall be turned over to the Tourist and Convention Commission established in that city, established by the KRS. Obviously, the city of Calvert does not currently have a tourism commission.
Oh, it's cities only for the 3% tax,
Yeah.
it's cities only.
Only be city.
Okay,
Now I will sort of preface, there was recently a lawsuit, the city of Hazard filed a lawsuit against the Commonwealth, basically declaring that the restaurant tax should be considered unconstitutional because they were not allowed to have it, whereas other communities could, and they met the population criteria. So we have since received a ruling on that just within the last month, and, he did sort of elaborate that once the Department of Local Government sort of did away with the classification of cities, that it made sort of the restaurant tax and how those were, how that could be levied, a little arbitrary because it was based on population size. So, so now it was, essentially the ruling did allow for cities that have a population of less than 8,000, they can enact a restaurant tax. So it did not hurt Calvert or Benton, did not necessarily remove the ability, but it did expand the ability for some other cities to do so. So, but since Calvert City does not have a tourism commission and we are a county without a tourism commission, we can enter into a joint local agreement, interlocal agreement, and become a joint city-county tourist commission. So we already promote the city of Calvert, and we promote Benton. We try to sort of disperse our funds through sponsorships and marketing to kind of cover the entire county. So it's not that we don't currently promote Calvert City, we just don't do it in an official capacity. So if the city of Calvert or the city of Benton even were to levy a restaurant tax, we would have to become a joint city county tourist commission. And the next slide, 91A 360, does sort of outline how our board structure is sort of made up. So we have a very specific board structure. It is outlined by Kentucky Revised State Statute. 3 of our appointments, currently all of our appointments have to go through fiscal court because fiscal court is the one who levies the transient room tax. So 3 of our appointments have to make up the lodging community within Marshall County. 1 of the appointments is submitted from the Chamber of Commerce. 1 of the appointments is representative of the restaurant community throughout Marshall County, and then 2 of the appointments are actually made from the judge executive. So if we were to become a joint city-county tourist commission at that time, those appointments would have to be made jointly. And I believe the way that we interpret the statute is that 1 of the appointments could be made by the judge executive, the other one could be made by the mayor. So we can't add or take away board members or necessarily change our board structure, but it does allow for the city to have more sort of say in who is appointed to the board.
Let me ask you a question about that. I thought at one time the cities could have their own tourist commission.
Yes, Calvert City is
Could do that
completely,
instead.
yes.
Okay, well, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, so we don't have to become a joint city, so the city of Calvert could establish their own tourist commission and levy the restaurant tax. That is, and I thought I said that, sorry. I apologize if I did not. Okay. So how can the restaurant tax be used and how does it work? It has to be used in a similar format of the transient room tax. So our job is to generate and promote tourist activity through marketing and promotion, sponsorships, operations, and investment. And the old saying goes, we have to put heads in beds. That's sort of how we operate. That is why we traditionally promote our biggest asset of Kentucky Lake. Just because that's where the majority of our lodging is. So, but when it comes to the restaurant tax, it would have to operate in a similar format. So we could use it for marketing and promotion, sponsorships, operations, and as I sort of slightly changed it, derrieres and chairs. So, allocate those dollars that are going to put people back in the restaurants within the community. Things that the restaurant tax cannot be used for: department subsidies, sewer projects, water line repairs, sidewalk repairs, major infrastructure that does not enhance the visitor experience in Calvert. Things that could be used for is event sponsorships, marketing efforts, matching grant programs for some of your smaller businesses, capital investment projects, artistic mural projects, personnel, staffing needs, etc. So how does it work? It's pretty basic, like the rest do. You get a restaurant, at the end of the sale, the customer, the consumer would pay you 3%. The business owner then collects that and remits it to the city clerk's office. And then the the city would turn that over to whatever tourist commission, whether it's a new one established by Calvert City, or if we become a joint, it would be turned over to our office, and then our office would work closely with the city to identify what projects, what type of marketing and promotion you would want the restaurant tax dollars to go towards. And then we would then allocate those dollars and spend that in that way.
Is there a percentage that the community, the taxing community would get back?
There are
Split?
communities, yes. So KLC, I believe they have a lot of different sort of negotiations. I think it kind of varies from city. You can determine a certain percentage. I think sort of the standard is if there was already a city that had a restaurant tax that was going to a tourist commission, you just didn't take too much away that they were already using to operate. But we could essentially establish a certain percentage that the city could potentially keep. Now, those dollars still need to be
Yes,
utilized
still have to go
towards
to tourism.
tourism related projects, but yes, there is some conversation, some negotiation there. So the next page, I did sort of give you an outline based on population. I can't reveal the source that did this research to me, but I can say it was very valid. They kind of did it for us a favor, but a very reputable source who came up with these numbers. So I just sort of did a spreadsheet of cities throughout Kentucky that have a similar population size that do have a restaurant tax and about how much it generates. So I will send this updated slide especially because Calvert City, they based off of the analytics and the data points that they were able to capture that Calvert City could generate a little over 383,000 in restaurant tax based off of what you have now.
Okay, so percentage wise, and this is a slide error. So that 1% up to 3% at 389, that corresponds to, I guess, 389.
Well, I'll send you that.
You're gonna update that? Okay, so we're gonna update that part. Okay. And that's it. Just seems like a lot of money to me.
But I mean, it happens that you see it in other communities. I think Beaver Dam's probably the best example. So, and then that's the remainder of the slides that you have in your presentation are essentially just case studies and examples of what cities have done with the restaurant tax. So the first one is Elizabethtown, Kentucky. They're sort of the ideal sort of case study that everyone uses to talk about because they decided to enact a restaurant tax. They actually were considered a 4th and 5th class city when they passed the restaurant tax back, I think it was in 2007 or 2000, yeah. And we all know how much Elizabethtown has grown since then. So they passed the restaurant tax. They decided to build their sports park, and utilize the restaurant tax dollars to invest in that project. It was had a total budget of 28 million. They just sort of recently celebrated, I think, it was constructed, so they just kind of were a little over their 10-year sort of anniversary, but I provided sort of a timeline that my kids, we travel to Elizabethtown all the time for soccer tournaments, ball tournaments. I listed them in here, their tourism director. I reached out to my colleagues and just said if they had a restaurant tax, if they would be willing to share some of their insights. Harrisburg, he kind of gave a good example of what you can do and what you should and shouldn't do. Because if you see in their explanation, they have gotten to a point where they kind of have to subsidize their Parks and Rec department a bit. So you want these dollars to serve as investment dollars, things that are gonna sort of jumpstart major projects. You don't want them to get to the point where they're tied up and cannot be utilized and diversified. So they Harrisburg, they got stuck. So they do have to give a lot of money to Parks and Rec, but they've done other great things as far as matching grant programs with their local communities, sponsoring events and things like that. Horse Cave, Park County, she also provided me with an explanation of how they've utilized their restaurant tax dollars. Her response was just great. So I literally just copied and pasted word for word. But she really clearly indicates how they've seen growth in their tourist attractions and how much it has enhanced their budget. It actually tripled their budget when they passed the restaurant tax. So, it actually makes them competitive when it comes to marketing, because they're a tiny area, over in Horse Cave. So, it's given them, some flexibility within their budget and some visibility in the form of marketing and promotion. Shepherdsville and Harlan County, they chose to use their restaurant tax dollars to invest in conference centers. And so they actually, Bullitt County added a 2% restaurant tax. And they fund their convention center with that. And then Harlan, Kentucky enacted a 3% restaurant tax that actually helps fund the Harlan Center. And I think I included Harlan. So Harlan brings in about $690,000 in restaurant tax, which is
Okay.
kind of crazy. Harlan, it's teeny tiny. So that is an option as far as restaurant tax. And then I included two other sort of unique examples: Litchfield, Kentucky, and Beaver Dam. Litchfield actually used their restaurant tax for a water park. They constructed an aquatic center at their city park.
There you go.
Kind of, no, we just had that conversation. So, they did that for their city. And then Beaver Dam is a really unique example because we all know how teeny tiny Beaver Dam is, but they built that amphitheater. Their restaurant tax generates a lot of money, but it allows them to now have events and bring in pretty major talent consistently to the amphitheater and put on some very successful events. So that was really all I wanted to. There's been talk, there's been conversation about the restaurant tax, what it looks like, what it can do, what it can't do. So this is just an effort to kind of maybe help provide some clarification. I'm here to answer any questions. If you have any?
A store like Casey's, like a service station, is that considered a restaurant?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so I couldn't figure out 17.
I know.
So like.
It
say,
seems like a large, but yeah.
Like the Shell station.
Yeah,
Where they
your gas
start
station,
saying,
your deli, a food sign, and
So it had to be the whole city, not just zones in the city.
as far as I know, yeah,
But-
it would be, it has to be any business within the city.
Okay.
So
So how are you funded now?
I am strictly funded through a transient room tax. We have a 3% transient room tax that generates about $375,000 a year. At least we budgeted $350 and we've surpassed that this upcoming fiscal year. So, our office is able to operate and do what we need to do based off the transient tax. So that's why we're not necessarily advocating that we need the restaurant tax. We can do what we need to do with what we have. But if this is a revenue source that could help enhance the cities, obviously tourism wants to help support and, do what we can to support our local communities through marketing and promotion. And so I guess this is just a thing that however we can be a good counterpart or a good partner through any kind of project investment and funding, we're more than happy to do so.
So Elena had approached me several months ago and I wanted to hear about it and wanted council to hear about it as we go about our merry way of running a city and promoting certain activities. And, we've got our special corridor between us and the front door of Kentucky Dam Village, our boulevard out there, which we're looking to develop. So if we have an opportunity that comes around and, potentially could get some revenue going, this is one potential. And as the overall revenue tax situation in the Commonwealth changes over the next few years, we may need to look at more innovative ways to make sure we can sustain operations. So this is one of the ways on the books right now. So I appreciate you doing the research and having that in there.
Additional research or information, please let me know. I'd be happy to do so. So Ben did ask, how do you prove that all the money is going back to we would essentially do the same thing. I mean, it's my personal belief that if we are working with the community and we're collecting the restaurant tax, it is our job to be good stewards of that, to make sure it's being invested back into the city of Calvert or the city of Benton. So we would very clearly be able to identify. The only thing I said that we may have to look at is I'm a one-woman show and, I'm kind of maxed out on what I can handle. And so
Right.
we would possibly have to hire, some additional staff, if we were to choose to kind of go this route. So, and I will say there's good examples of communities in the state, the city of Somerset, actually. Somerset and Pulaski County, they have a city tourism commission and then they have a county tourism commission and they work wonderfully together. So I do know that it's possible to have those types of relationships and to establish that way. So, but then there's also joint city counties that work well, as well. So.
And we call it marketing director, but we have our own.
I know.
Yeah.
One of my favorite people in the whole wide world. So, I love Blair pieces. And this is really me just lobbying for a chance to like work more closely with them.
There you go.
I just want to work.
That probably got you some brownie points.
Yeah, no, yeah. So I want to be in the same office with Blair.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elena.
Thank you.
And again, no specific projects or anything in mind right now. It's just one of these things as you put the puzzle together, what we're trying to do. This is another tool in the toolbox if it fits for something. Okay. Okay, now we get to go into some heavy lifting of the city council. And the purpose is get through the budget ordinances. Are we ready to go here? The dog's been excited. The dog's been excited. I mentioned budget and he rolled on over.
Okay, we'll do pay classification first, is that stated on top here?
Yes.
All right. Pursuant to KRS 83A07072 and Calvert City Ordinances 3102B and C, the City Council has adopted the personnel pay classification plan establishing compensation rates for the various classifications of employees of the city and non-elected city officers for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2024 and ending on June 30, 2025. The complete plan and ordinance adopting same is maintained by the city clerk at City Hall located 861 East Fifth Avenue, Calvert City, Kentucky. And that's the summary. Details can be seen on the hard copy kept in the clerk's office.
Need a motion.
Yep.
I make a motion that we accept personnel and pay classification plan for the year that's rated.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Linda, you gonna call the roll?
I'm ready. Councilman Babcock,
Yes.
Councilman Howard,
Yes.
Councilman Hale,
Yes.
Councilman Rao,
Yes.
Councilman Harrington.
Yes.
Councilman Stokes.
Yes.
Passes.
All right, thank you.
A little more detail on length. This is an ordinance adopting the city of Calvert City, Kentucky annual budget for the fiscal year July 1, 2024 through June 30, 2025, the estimated revenues and resources and appropriating funds for the operations of city government. Whereas the city council of the city of Calvert City, Kentucky has reviewed the budget proposal of the mayor and has developed the budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2024 and ending June 30, 2025. In anticipation of the financial needs of the city, and whereas the city council of the city of Calvert City, Kentucky has reviewed and approved the proposed budget of the board of public utilities for the city's municipal water and sewer system. Now therefore be it ordained by the city of Calvert City, Commonwealth of Kentucky, that the annual budget for the city, including the city's municipal water and sewer system for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2024 and ending on June 30, 2025, hereby is adopted as follows. We begin with estimated fund balances July 1, 2024. In the general fund are $6 million, and capital projects $3,062,754. Special revenue fund $718,697. Estimated revenues, and these are just general fund numbers. There are none under the capital projects, but just under the general fund, property taxes. $1,307,500, payroll tax, $1,500,000, licensing permits, $1,665,000, intergovernmental revenue, $45,500, fines and forfeits, $5,000, charges for services, $115,000, other revenue, $668,500.
Specific side, but they're both identical. So yeah, to your question, I can surely mount just the front and back, and that should suffice. Makes me a little bit nervous, but that's probably just my head because the power feeders are quite heavy, these big beefy ones. But nonetheless, yes, that could work, but definitely.
You're getting feedback from your YouTube.
No.
Don't lose your spot.
I've got it, Mark, I got it.
I don't know what the heck that was.
Ghost in the machine.
Carry on.
Okay. For special revenue funds, intergovernmental revenues, $70,000 and other revenues, $178,300. Total estimated revenue of the general fund is $5,306,500. Special revenue funds, total estimated revenue is $248,300. Total resources available for the general fund are $11,306,500. Capital projects is $3,062,754, and special revenue funds are $966,977. Now for appropriations, estimated appropriations. I'll do the general fund. General government is $1,126,800. Police is $1,204,472. Fire is $170,900. Street is $1,058,700. Sanitation, $348,850. Economic development, $248,550. Parks, $517,650. Airport, $372,500. Fire training center, $28,500. Cemetery, $50,000. And total estimated appropriations for general fund is $5,126,922. The capital projects, general government is $420,000, police $50,000, fire $50,000. Street, $845,000, economic development, $100,000, parks, $1,035,000, airport, $200,000, fire training center, $150,000, cemetery, $75,000, for total estimated appropriations for capital projects is $2,925,000. Special revenue funds is police of $239,428, fire is $15,000, street is $400,000. Giving total estimated appropriations for special revenue funds of $654,428. Okay, the excess of revenues over appropriations in the general fund is $179,578. In capital projects, it's a negative $2,925,000, and in special revenue funds, it's $406,128. For net change in fund balances. Again, in general fund, it's $179,578. In capital projects, it's a negative $2,925,000. And in special revenue funds, it's $406,128. So estimated fund balances on June 30, 2025 for the general fund are $6,179,578. Capital projects is $137,754. And special revenue funds is $312,569. And that's for general government. Then for municipal water and sewer department, estimated fund balances for June 30, 2024 is $1 million. Estimated revenues from operations is $2,799,000. For capital grants, loans, and transfers is $2,444,880. For total estimated revenues is $5,243,880. Total resources available then are $6,243,880. Estimated expenditures for operating is $2,318,500. Depreciation is $560,500. Capital and debt retirement is $3,250,330. Total estimated expenditures is $6,129,330. Excess of revenues over expenditures is $885,450. Adding back in depreciation gives a net decrease in funds of $324,950. And an estimated fund balance as of June 36, 2025 of $675,050. That is the entire budget.
Thank you. Would entertain a motion?
Make a motion.
Got a motion. How about a second? And a second. Linda?
Councilman Stokes,
Yes.
Councilman Harrington,
Yes.
Councilman Rao,
Yes.
Councilman Hale,
Yes.
Councilman Howard,
Yes.
Councilman Babcock.
Yes.
Ordinance passes.
Ordinance passes. Thank you guys for that.
Yes.
And there's, we're missing an ordinance this year that we don't need. That'd be the, amendment because we nailed it. No need for the amendment ordinance. Okay? I'm sitting there looking at this. I said, where's the third? But we didn't get that this year. Well done. Okay, so we went through the new business already as far as things to approach on here. Trying to think of, is there other new business that we need to bring up?
This is kind of new business. Let me bring this up. I need you guys, I want to suggest to you, this sounds crazy. The public purpose for the Christmas parade. Okay, we're spending some money on the Christmas parade this year. We need you to define the public purpose for the Christmas parade. And I would suggest that the public purpose is to promote a sense of community, family, gratuity, joy, and celebration among the members of our community and their friends and families.
Beautiful.
That's a public purpose, and we'll spend about $1,000 and some effort.
Read that again.
That cause.
Read that again.
To promote a sense of community, family, gratuity, joy, and celebration among the members of our community and their friends and families.
Okay.
Also, to me, it's also somebody can.
Well, on the community thing, it really popped out to me as community identity. I mean, people come to Calvert, identify heavily with coming to Calvert for the Christmas parade, especially the night and format that has gone the last few years, and I covered that. I believe it is.
So, let me revise that.
Develop might be a stretch, but getting people in here to see what we have.
So, tourism and economic development. Tourism. Okay. And I'm gonna read this again so that this can appear just in this form in the minutes. Or who's gonna type these minutes out? Okay.
I want a copy of that.
Bless your heart. All right. So the public purpose for the Christmas parade is to promote a sense of community, identity. Let me say that again. To promote a sense of community identity. Thank you. Tourism, family, gratuity, joy, and celebration among the members of our community and their friends and families.
Gratuity sounds like a tip. Gratitude.
Everybody agree? Gratitude? Sounds good. to me.
But tips are welcome too. Do I?
Words hurt.
I think you did wag his tail a little bit.
Very good. Okay, thank you all. That helps. Oh, I need you guys to say yes, that's what we. Somebody moved that we adopt that as the public purpose of our contribution to the.
Would some member of the council like to move that they support that? We had open discussion. Does anybody not support any of it? Think it's not got it? Okay.
That we define public purpose for the Christmas parade.
About a motion and a second?
Second.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. And all in favor, aye. We're not even gonna try to vote against it. Okay.
One thing I will bring up, if you don't mind, for new business, is not that we have to do anything about it tonight, but we need to consider it. Since there's not a, there was not a consent, or there was a consensus about medical marijuana. You do have the ability, and we can research a little bit more, but you do have the ability to levy a regulatory fee, much like an alcohol, an ABC regulatory fee. So we need to look into that. If you guys are interested in levying one, if we do get something here. Right now, they're gonna give out licenses for cultivators and producers, but not processors. Processors are holding license back on them until, I think, for a year or something of that nature. The reason for that, the processors actually are a combination of cultivators and processors or producers in one unit. And what they're afraid of is they're gonna get a bunch of out-of-state people come in and just small the market. So that's part of their issues for that,
So repeat that again. So we have the ability to levy a fee,
a regulatory fee.
a regulatory fee
Just-
on
it'd be just
medical,
like ABT.
medical marijuana outlets. Now, question for you, T. If, and we'll open it up for more. That fee has to be decided up front, or what's the timing on?
It's levied, it has to be related to what you anticipate spending in regulating. So it has to be related. It's not just whatever you want to levy. It's a fee, like the ABC fee. It's a fee that's intended to reimburse the city for whatever costs it might incur in imposing those regulations.
Well, that's, I guess, exactly like the alcohol fee, but
That would require an ordinance.
but that's
You
not,
don't
the
have to, but again, it's one you could,
that's
and it
not,
has to be done by ordinance.
And your question is, does it have to be done before somebody applies for a
Yeah,
license?
yeah.
And I don't know the answer to that.
okay. So timing, we don't know. And I also have another question, just to do some more. I guess it's just a question I have. How are these things being awarded? Someone had related to me that might be by lottery pick. I
If
thought
there's
that was an awful strange way to be
If
doing
there's
it.
more, well, the thing of it is, if there's more than allowed in that area, in that region, it will be by lottery. It won't be by my best friend or your good friend or something like that. It'll be done by lottery. So that's how they're gonna go.
You're talking about more applicants than allocation.
That's correct.
Question, I wasn't available for the discussion, when y'all had the special meeting, I didn't join the meeting till later. What about the signage and stuff for those businesses? Is that gonna be regulated? Because.
Just like every other zoning.
Cause well, I've been a lot of places where it has.
No, it is regulated. They talked about that. in the
Okay.
meeting. They
Well, I
can't
guess it
have-
is.
They can't have a flower, like whatever.
Okay.
The plant.
Marijuana leaf,
Leaf.
Okay.
really.
They all know way too much.
They can't have that.
I even knew it was.
They can't have that little green hand. waving
Yeah.
at it. No.
Okay. Well, I've just been some places where it was really.
So your question seems to be to me, is our zoning ordinances going to be appropriate for this specific use?
Our zoning
A
ordinance.
concern. Okay.
Our zoning ordinances will be, there may be additional regulations imposed by state statute.
State, okay, that was what.
And this is, again, this is a medical marijuana. This is not,
Recreational.
recreational
Yeah,
marijuana. So
I
it's
understand.
gonna be a
that.
little bit less out there in your face,
Right.
just like,
Well, I read somewhere, and I can't remember where, that there were only going to be 4.
in
outlets
our
the
region.
entire 8 county of Jackson Parish.
That's
Probably 8.
dispensaries. You also have cultivation, processor and producers, and those licenses are also given out to the areas. So I don't know what the exact number is, but the dispensaries are 4 in a region.
I think it's probably the dispensaries are more what I was concerned with.
The one thing that we did get into is most of your cultivation is gonna be done in a greenhouse. And that's an agricultural purpose.
Any more?
So what about those who own 5 acres or more?
Agricultural purpose.
Okay. So could they would still have to,
My answer.
Register with
tentative
us
answer
in
is
order to
yes,
grow
I
that.
think they could.
Okay.
Because that is a farming or type
right?
business.
But those numbers are regulated also, are you saying, or not?
Well, they're regulated by the number of people that, the cultivators or whatever you can have in a region, yes. So, but could it go in?
Then what this tax would apply to, but is the dispensaries or whatever that the retailer, that's what get taxed, is it not? Not the producer.
Well, farmers pay tax too on profits.
It'd be, I mean, net profit, yeah.
Well,
Or
yeah,
payroll or whatever.
but that's not what we're
That's not
talking
that
about.
Regulation, if you're talking about, not that
Regulatory fee.
regulatory fee.
That's dispensary, from what I understand.
Right.
Blair, did you catch anything other than that?
Yeah, that's what it is.
The other part of that would be like, if you had agricultural property, would some of that agricultural property not also fall under, some of our ordinances that it couldn't be in, it could be agricultural, but it couldn't be an industry, like the mega, in town with mega greenhouses or something.
You're talking about producer?
Yeah. I guess.
Yeah,
I don't
producers,
know.
I would think a
I just
producer.
knew about the leaf.
Well, a cultivator is definitely gonna be agriculture, but a producer might more likely be in a industrial type or manufacturing or production process, which is different, so.
Cause you don't have a lot of control over, five acres. The city
It
doesn't
has
have
to
a
be,
whole
it
lot
has to be an
of.
agricultural purpose.
Right.
It is difficult.
It is very difficult, yes. I
So-
remember us having this discussion about, I don't know, 8 years ago.
Well, just, I mean, for instance, what I was thinking about was Steve's property down there. You know, it's well maintained and stuff like that. Would there be a regulation? He's not going to, but say if he's set up 5 greenhouses out, would there be some way to regulate that or not, you know? Okay.
It does have,
No,
they do regulate as far as like schools, how close it is to
Okay.
a school.
Yeah, if it was pot greenhouses.
1,000 feet.
If it was greenhouses for flowers, no.
No,
If you're talking about pot greenhouses.
Yeah, that's what-
Yeah, they're gonna be subject to it.
okay, that's what.
and daycare also
Not
counts that
franchise.
1,000 feet, not just schools, but daycares also, so. 1,000 foot rule.
So I'm
There are
hearing,
only 4 per 8-county region.
I know.
The chances of
But more
Calvert
than
City.
that, there's actually
Having-
close to 12 in our region,
Oh,
because we include part of the counties on the other side of the river.
oh, okay. So the area gets larger, but the number does too.
There's 4 for that whole
I
word.
mean, in theory, if the use of it is medical. I mean, I don't think I'd be in favor of us applying a tax to medicine. Now, I'm not naive enough to think that. you know,
I
well,
just want to get that information out there so you know it.
to follow your line of thought, my thought is as opinions change, as laws change, if you have these medical outlets, they may morph into something different. And so that's what really has.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of stuff coming along with that. Cause I'm like, yeah, it's medicine. Who's going to deny citizens medicine? I mean, if you're going to medical marijuana, so it's under the guise of being a treatment program. But I think a lot of the concern is it's going to morph into recreational, should the Commonwealth ever go recreational. And then it'll be a horse of a different wheelbase.
yeah. Would you get to revisit it then?
I would assume, who knows?
Touche.
I would think so. I think if you switch to recreational, there'll be enough turmoil and uproar in the legislative process. There'll be a whole, I would like to imagine, of course, you don't know how that's going to go. I'd like to imagine it would be another layer of
Yeah.
review, but who knows? Now I hear questions that have been asked or about how this whole thing, growing, packaging and dispensing, we've had all these questions. A lot of them go into our zoning ordinances.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
And so how does this proposition weave its way through our various ordinances? Have we got that under control? I'm hearing that's the overarching question.
Well, right now, agriculture generally is exempted from regulation.
Mhm.
By the agricultural supremacy clause. And
Right.
There's no distinction made whether you're growing pot or growing corn. It's,
Right.
you grow it
So that amounts to the state saying you're not going to regulate the farmers. We are.
so far.
Okay.
That waits a long time too.
Right.
But the production is a different story.
Okay. You got any other new business as entertaining as that one?
No, thankfully not.
Okay, all right. Okay. Well, let's get on to other, Blair, you got a marketing director's report. Had another, event on Saturday where you're using your supreme weather, chits or whatever you do, IOUs or whatever you're calling them in. So there was a lot of people and, I've had no complaints
Well, that's
about that.
good.
That's awesome. And a lot of positive comments. People want to stop talking.
20% chance of light rain. I woke up and it was 69% chance of rain. And it sprinkled just a
Just,
Yes, it was amazing.
it was a beautiful day.
yeah.
That's talking about the community identity. A lot of people are going to remember that day.
It was really great.
Yeah.
A lot of great compliments and not just the concept of the kids and, you know, them selling their wear, and they were adorable. I mean, they were excited about it. And in fact, Carrie, she was like, thanks, Blair. Now my daughter wants to sell things. So she wants to come up with something that she can sell. So that's awesome. You know, inspires that entrepreneur, you know, outlook and thought process. So I think it went really well. And there were a few dyed hands. I heard, you know, that the dye lasted a couple of days, but other than that, it was pretty good. Yeah, it went.
How'd your art project work out?
Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, so not done yet, but.
Be looking
on
forward to seeing
stage, the kids that were there painted fish. Then they also did a mural, that's 16 foot long. So, me and a couple other people are gonna go in the mural and kind of fill in some of the blank spaces and create a piece that can stay at the amphitheater, for commemoration. And then we'll use the fish, along the background as a, kind of a, community art project. So, and then also the yarn, it's yarn bomb. You've heard of that, but Memorial Park was yarn bombed for the kids art in the park, and it is still up. But I will probably put that down in a couple days, and we can reuse it. So anyway, but it is beautiful, and it's definitely adds a little color to the park for a couple of days. So, moving along, we have, the pickleball tournament is June 21st to the 23rd. There's over 200 that are registered for it. And, during that event, there'll be food trucks there. So come and watch and take part. If you want to volunteer, I can always, use your help for the Calvert City tent that we have there. And then, celebration. The Grand Marshal this year will be Sprout Davis. And he will be turning 100 years old, so exciting to see him, be a part of the parade and lead the parade. He has led a very interesting life, and been Calvert City resident pretty much his whole life. I asked him how long he had went to First Baptist Church, and he said, I guess 100 years. So he's been going there for a long time, and it's awesome that Kata made that selection. So, and then the parade theme is Party Like It's 1776. So start thinking about how folks that want to be in the parade, how they want to decorate their floats. The parade lineup is at 4:45 at Pathway Baptist Church. We're thankful that they allow us to line up there. 4:45 is the parade lineup, and the parade begins at 6. We've had some folks at the Lions Club that are, you know, always there to organize the parade. They're either having some health issues or they're gonna be out of town. So the Masons, Calvert City Masons, have agreed to help organize and line up the parade. And awesome that they stepped in to do that, because I don't know anything about any of that. So it's awesome that they're there to help with that. And then there's a cornhole tournament for commemoration, like there is always. Kata will have it. You can call Cindy Riley and sign up to be a part of it. And I'll get all of that information out as far as cost. And I asked Cindy, and she said I can share her phone number. So I will be publicizing her phone number. Bless her heart. And then the pageant, celebration pageant, it's June the 24th, again this year at Civic Center. We won't be doing registration at the door. There is no registration at the door. You have to go online. You have to go and register.
I'm having a
because
deja vu moment. This was what was said last year, right?
I've said this, yes.
Okay,
multiple
all
times.
right. So this isn't new. This is not new.
No, and it actually went really well last year. We didn't have anybody show up at the door. I was fully prepared to tell them no, and hopefully this year stays the same. Mainly because it really, when people show up 5 minutes till and they want to sign their child up, then it just puts it behind and
Okay.
stay going, so.
Let's get the word out there. We don't want anybody disappointed.
Yes, the link is live. You can go on our website or you can go on the Facebook page and click that link and sign up for it online. It's 0 to 18 years old. And, it's $20 to be a part of it, and then, $5 if you want to do the photo section. And then I guess that's really it. That's all I have. Had a great time at KLC with Dawn and Glenda, and
Chief.
Spent 3 hours with Greg, okay? I don't have a brain left. I'm not saying.
She's had a 3 hour. She's fresh off a 3 hour engagement with the city attorney. Yeah. Oh my goodness. All right.
She's still walking. I'm glad to see that she's still alive. Shades for the fountain are up. I guess you all may have already seen them.
What did you say, John?
Huh?
What was it you just said?
The shades in the fountain are up.
Oh, we're up. Okay.
Yeah, up.
I got good comments out of my car. People in my car really like.
Like them? That's good.
A lot.
Had lots of.
I haven't enjoyed them yet.
Well, good. I'm glad that. Miracle Recreations, where we got them, they actually are helping us also find somebody to replace the canopies in the little playgrounds between fields 1 and 2 down here.
Mhm.
The company we bought them from is still in business, but they do not do these anymore. They do other type.
Oh, well, thank you for that. They'll sell us a new type.
So no, we don't have to build, all we're doing is getting a canopy, not the
Okay,
frame,
all
thank
right,
God. So, so those are coming, I think, out of Texas. We're working on those, another company.
And that's really nice down there, by the way. It was really a nice spot.
The bathroom notice to proceed has been sent, and they have poured the foundation, or the footers, I should say, for the foundation.
So they have proceeded.
They have proceeded. Yes, they have. They've been waiting, and we turned them loose. So, they're moving forward with that. I've talked with them about the pickleball tournament, and they should have their stuff out of the way, and so they should not interfere. And they'll have that area fenced off. So. Water, let's see, the fountain running the water leak, new supply line. We're gonna have to replace the water supply line to the parks. In the process of getting quotes for that right now. That line has been pumping water. There's no soft spots because it's pumping it right out of the supply line and right into the sewer line and pumping it right straight back out. So we have a devil of a time trying to find it. I think we finally did find it. Yeah, me too. So, but we're in the process of looking at a new supply line to fix that and get it out of that cluster of other stuff down there. So. Restaurant. 10th Avenue. Brad, I'll let you talk on 10th Avenue if you want. He's making great headway with it. For those who haven't seen it, it's going from Horace Barnes where it turns off Colorado and comes back around up 10th West 10th, and the drainage it's been slow. It's not really slow, but there's so much of it.
Mother Nature is.
She's entered it somewhat, yeah.
Are you handling the runoff pretty good?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, at least you know your runoff design is getting tested before you finalize it.
Hopefully we'll get on moving some more dirt in the mall. So hopefully I'll be done before it snows.
Well, you'll be done before the next eclipse, so you can handle that local traffic swell.
I'll tell you how brave he is. He actually let me have a little apprentice work on the track hoe. But that was a blast. I've never run one before. That was a blast. Yeah.
How come they don't, we need signups for that kind of stuff.
He's got a show. Forget the what's it, fart and the fat system downstairs. We're going for the track out system. I'm trying to think. Tim's got his new fire truck in. We've got that in, replacing the pickup. Anything else that I'm getting on that? I think it's pretty well guided.
The paving, we're doing the punch list on the paving.
Punch list on the paving to finish Gilbertsville Highway. The old trees and the dead trees out here have been dropped. I don't know, maybe some seals that had vibrated loose from all the weight of the trees when they came down, the whole building went wrong.
Really?
So. But those are down and keep the Bob's, little covered bridge won't go squish. So we've got that out of the way.
So foundation and jello around here, come on.
It bounced the building.
All right.
It was that heavy. It'll also have a new drainage ditch out there from where it hit.
Oh, there you go.
It's got a nice deep swell.
I hadn't
out
walked
there.
it. I've seen it.
It was something. That was that's some heavy logs that came out of that thing.
I believe the guy said it was 47 inches across the log.
Yeah, they missed 4 feet across by 1 inch. It was unbelievable. But it was, they did a great job. They got in there and they pulled it out really nicely. They had to cut it from top down, but they did a great job. I don't have anything else that I can think of at the moment. I'll let Tim talk on the airport, if he's still with us.
He's hanging it.
I go back, I'll touch on the TAP grant. We've sent all the information off that they've requested, and again, we're back on the sit and wait mode, so that's kind of where we are at this point.
Okay. Well, I'd send a thank you note to the administrator. It says, if you need anything, let us know immediately, and we want those T's crossed and those I's dotted. Let's go.
I want to thank the Marshall County Division of the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet for taking care of our median down at the Dairy Queen. They did a great job on it. We want to thank those folks for coming in and responding as quickly as they did. So.
Kevin even sent me a picture. I was in Tennessee.
And if I've been asked once, I've been asked a dozen times. The work at the interchange is for salt storage. So we've gone public now, and I don't know where else if they had a public announcement on that or not, but
Yes, they have.
very good, very good.
It's been in the pipe.
I
They still don't know what it's for.
I don't know why folks are messaging me like they are. It's kind of crazy, but A, it's not in Calvert. B, I don't work for transportation, but let me tell you what it is. I should have them call the paper. They'd see the value of a subscription if they read the paper.
County fiscal court did a lengthy presentation on all the highway projects in the county. But first he described it, what's his name, Michael Oliver?
Correct.
Michael Oliver, Highway Department. And he went through all the list of projects, highway projects, but mainly discussed the reason for the highway department locating a salt plant there is because it takes nearly an hour under current conditions that they have, or over an hour, when a salt truck runs out of salt. Either go to either, I think it's either Toll or Benton, and to get more salt. If they have salt there, they'll be able to cut that time down so much to get out and get the salt and roads.
They got to try to catch up with Calvert City's machine time.
Right.
Brad's not even watching me when I said that. Okay. All right. So at this point, we're going, as long as he continues to wait, we're going to go through the departments. Dan, you got something from utility?
The two things that Tim and I talked about was when he got his pickup truck too, which has been long list for a while. And then the other thing is the sewer plant is getting ready to start back up on the delay that we had.
So the contractors at a kickoff meeting last week, going to remobilize and get busy on that project again. So that's very good news. That's a long slog. So good news on that front. Is that all you got, Dan? All you know of right now? Okay. All right. So, Chief Davis, went along with, us to meet the 911, the new 911 director. When was that? That was Thursday.
Correct.
Chief Cannon, we rode over there in the new white fire department pickup truck, rode like a dream. So, they introduced him to the county and, talked to the two chiefs. That's the 911 director. And, get him off on a good foot, right foot forward. So I thought it was a very, very good session, and county leadership did a good job of introducing him and trying to get things moving in the right direction. So Captain Babcock, you got something from the police?
Calls are up, typical for summer. Internally, we have started looking at replacing tasers and outdated body cameras that they do not support anymore. You're either gonna have to use ones. You get a next man or something breaks or change them all.
Yeah.
So now we're just looking at what it's gonna cost for the software, file sharing and all that stuff we already use.
It sounds like we've ridden it out to its useful life then, if we're changing them, making them obsolete. So very good. All right. Mr. Haskell, what's going on?
Good evening. Thank you.
Is that a cutout or is it actually you? You're still there?
No, see, it moves.
Okay, very good. So, we didn't know whether you're going to let you video in or not, but I'm glad you made it.
Well, I'm glad to be here. COVID notwithstanding. So, environmental documents to support the approach light system, runway end identification lights, and the fence project have been submitted to the FAA and approved. So that relatively major step for those two projects has been cleared. And finally, we anticipate a project scoping meeting for the runway end identification lights and the approach lights. Next week, we'll be contacting John to get that scheduled. And in my communication with the Department of Aviation, I received no information about the status of the phase 1 of the fence project. But I was reassured by the state that they are fully supportive of the fence project when it comes about. So that money has been identified and they are holding it in reserve until we are ready for it. So with the delays that we've had in the fence project, I wanted to mention that so that we're not getting antsy about whether or not that project will happen.
So you're saying the project's been funded?
The project has been funded. That's correct.
Okay, we just don't know when it's going to commence.
That's right. And that's all I have.
That's all you have. Okay. Looking around the room, last but not least, our partners at Kentucky State Park. Everything's going great.
Everything's going awesome.
That's good.
We are finishing up the fiscal year ahead of budget, which is really nice. There's a lot of people on the park. If you have not been on the park recently, it is hopping. Let's see, what else is going on? We've been in budgeting, so that's where my head's been over the last 2 weeks. So if I'm missing things, I apologize.
Okay. 100-year anniversary.
100-year anniversary, that's about to be announced, and that's great. I mean, Kentucky Dam is year 40, it's 49, so whatever that would be now. But so yeah, we're not quite 100 years, but we're getting close. That's all right. Okay, what do you want to say it is?
Well, I can ask.
Plaque that says 49. I'm okay with any name.
Oh, why don't you 1949? We thought you meant.
Yeah,
49.
no, 1949. He left the arithmetic up to us, but yeah.
We're not here, so I was tripping over.
Yeah.
Oh, we were the next 50 years ago.
More than 50.
75.
Well, we've got new staff,
75
which
this
is
year.
great, and we're finding more staff. We are busy. I would like to unofficially, I can't officially say this, but unofficially, I think, everybody in this room, I can say this unofficially, on the 18th for lunch, we are hosting a community meeting with folks that are interested in particular things that are happening at the park. Over the next, we'll have the commissioner, we'll have representatives from the secretary's office, and et cetera in the room. This is a chance to find out what we've got in the offing. There is actually quite a bit of new construction that's going to be happening over the next 5 years on the park. You'll see a lot of things happening. Anecdotally, phase 1 of our sewer projects coming to an end. Phase 2 will start here probably this fall. We have an electric project that we are pretty well into already, a major electric project infrastructure. And we've got some other things. There's a playground coming, there's amenity changes coming. There's
All right.
a number of things happening.
Well, I'm glad I asked you for an update. You're making people clap up here.
The 18th for lunch. Now, this is not necessarily open to the public. But everybody that's in the room right now, I would strongly encourage you to be there. If you can.
All righty.
For lunch, 12 noon on the 18th, Tuesday. Next Tuesday. I can't officially invite you because they haven't given me the official invite form to hand out to folks. So
We just show up and look hungry and
yeah,
cross your fingers.
we'll give you something to eat.
Okay. All right. Okay.
So anyhow.
Now we're gonna go around and talk to council. Chris, got anything on your mind?
Hey, Gina, I had
Oh.
one other thought that all the changeover at the new water plant, at the water plant. is
Oh, yeah.
all up and running.
Yeah, it's been a few weeks. I think it finished up shortly after our last council meeting. We might have already declared victory. I got a kick. I was down there and I checked on you when we had the power go out. We had the straight line, we had the tornado warning that went to straight line winds and knocked out power to Jackson Purchase. And I went out to check on them and they were commissioning that equipment. That generator kicked on. They didn't even really know it. And identified some improvements. I needed an indicator in the control system, say the generator kicked on. So I think that was added to the punch list. So that's great. Yep.
I'm excited about engine generator too, looking at the other day.
Yeah, I'm out for about 3 days.
Never missed a lick.
Yeah, didn't burn very much fuel either.
That's a good test. Chris, you got something?
No, sir.
Nope.
I just want to say how happy I am tonight. Shades for the splash pad, painting at Oak Park, and Tim has Scott has topped it off with playgrounds.
Playgrounds at the park.
I don't know if I can say it anymore or not. Seriously.
All right. Well, Jeremy, you're not in the place where you normally sit, but what you got? You got anything to bring up?
No, I apologize. I'm not there. My wife's in Alaska and I'm picking kids up from Bible school, but I'm also.
All right. I'm glad you can make it, especially for the budget time. It's good to have good support. And last but not least, Kevin, you got anything? But a motion to adjourn. All right, there you go. Excellent.
Go to that. We'll be dry.
Motions.
So wait for tomorrow.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone.